Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am your host, Saucy McBoodlefist, and today is episode 40, yes, episode 40 of The Letter, and I'm super excited to do it. In the last one, we did some cop stuff with Ashton, and we're going to continue his story, because we're going to get through this as much as we possibly can today. A moderate crowd has already gathered at the park by the hour I arrive. People walking their dogs, kids playing a game of tag, and a few who are simply content to lay in their blankets with a book in hand. Cheers and laughter, mostly from children and families, lends the place with some kind of warm atmosphere. I tend to avoid the park precisely because of this. No use reminding myself of the could-haves when it's already over. Mom's doing well with her career. Dad's also fine the last time I visited. Although neither remarried, they're both content with their lives as it is. I'm probably the one who's still caught up with it, hence my aversion. But all in all, it's still a pleasant sight to see if you're the kind who takes in joy in such sights. Professor Clark does, and as expected, I find himself enjoying a walk around the place moments later. He stops as soon as he sees me, a small grin spreading across his face when I approach, his hands raised in casual greeting.
Not running today, Professor?
Ho, no, not today. Just thought I'd enjoy the nice weather before it takes a turn for the norm again. And to what do I owe the pleasure?
The guy certainly looks happy right now, in any case. I don't want to break the news to him. But it's better to get this off quick as long as he doesn't shoot the messenger. He's not the type. However, long-held resentment can change a person, even someone as mild-mannered as the professor.
Maybe we should sit down first.
With a slight gesture of my hand, I lead the two of us to a nearby bench, away from anyone who might want to listen in. Not that there's much to hear, it's just for the sake of his privacy. He's had enough of his city's tattlers 10 years ago. There's definitely no need to feed more fuel to a fire that has already died down years ago. I wait for him to take the empty space beside me before starting. Instead, he spares a moment to give me a once-over, quiet and unblinking during his scrutiny. It reminds me of all those times he has done the same back when I was still his student. I try not to flinch, meanwhile. Once he's done, he simply raises a hand, reaches up to correct his glasses. A habit, as I've learned many years ago. He does that once he's found what he's searching for, a nervous tick or an odd stain on one's person, something to tell him about the one in front of him. Okay, that was an odd sentence. The art of keen observation, I learned it from the man. It's very likely that he already has an idea of what this might be about from my appearance and expression alone. Excuse me. Despite this, he allows me to speak first and wordlessly takes the open seat beside me, a smile still on his face as he watches the scene in front of us. Funny how the word simply goes on while we sit here with this shadow looming over us.
I was hoping to talk to you about the case.
I suppose I'm just the downer today. As soon as I said those words, a look of concern replaces his cheery expression.
You aren't in trouble, are you?
For a second, I hesitate, looking at the dirt beneath my shoes. But I manage, eventually. After a long, ragged draw of breath, I pick up where I've left off, though still fumbling with my words.
Well, I'm in a bit of trouble, if you can call it that.
He quickly raises a questioning brow at that.
But I'm not in danger or anything.
You've said that same excuse a million times before, Detective Inspector. Those circles under your eyes and your slouch tell a different story.
That is the exact voice of the first guy who did the Honest trailers. I swear to God, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to YouTube, look up Honest Trailers, go all the way to the first video they ever made, and that guy's voice sounds exactly like this guy.
It's nothing like what you're thinking. Don't worry. I was just... I was taken off the Luxborn firm case.
I expect anger, frustration, maybe even disappointment. But all he gives me is a small sigh of relief.
Is that so? Well, at least you aren't in danger. Liz wouldn't be too happy if she saw you like this right now.
Who's Liz? Liz? Aunt Liz, she insisted I call her, his late wife. A sweet-tempered woman by so many standards, they were never blessed with kids and contented herself with simply managing their bakery. But she's the closest thing I had to a mom in a few years that I had known her, the professor too. In the absence of my own parents in my life, the two filled the ache their separation left in me.
Believe me, you'll get an earful if you show up looking like that on her doorstep.
How many years has it been since? 9? 10? I can still remember it vividly. Two men, primly dressed, briefcases in hand, and a stern look on each of their faces. They were already frequent visitors to the bakery for a few months, something about the lot being a prime property in downtown Luxborn. I think they were hoping to settle a deal with them, but neither of the couple gave in to their demands. Why should they? That quaint little shop was a dream for them. Aunt Liz sent me home early the night after a fruitless wait for the professor. The next morning, news of the bakery razed to the ground had spread across the whole city, one casualty. A few weeks later, the property was sold to Wright Enterprise. A fucking hotel now stands in its place. Of course, an investigation was launched after the incident. The name Luke Wright was briefly at the center of it, but with the lack of any evidence, the case was ultimately went cold. The professor hides it well, however, I can tell that he hates that man to this day. He might even blame Luke Wright for every single tragedy that happened in the city. He has never blamed me though, but I'm equally as responsible. I knew something's off the moment those men stepped inside the shop. I could have saved her that night. I could have prevented anything from happening to her, called for help or whatever. I didn't. So it continues to eat at me until this day, the guilt. The Luxborn firm case would have been our chance at reopening that old case if we could prove Luke right of his crimes. Instead, we're back to square one. Yet all he has for me are words of comfort. To think he can still be this concerned about me after my carelessness, after I've broken another promise a second time. People never cease to amaze me.
You might think that you have failed as an officer. Or maybe you think that you have failed me. And you know more than anyone. I would love to see that man taken down. If anyone deserves to be tried in high court, it's him. Goodness knows what awful things he's done. But I'm glad nothing's happened to you while you were working on this. That's what's most important. I'd hate to get news like that again.
Suddenly, he stops. A thoughtful look flashes in his eyes as he thumbs the wedding band on his ring finger before he continues. Another habit. He has never removed it since that day, has never thought once to remarry, even when he manages to continue with his life and return to some semblance of normalcy. It's his way of honoring her, I suppose, when he couldn't bring to justice the man responsible for his loss. Some people are just hard to forget. And I understand that now.
It's not like another death. Yours or even his will bring back my wife.
Silence falls between us afterwards. I don't quite know what to say after that, really. Should I apologize? Show some sympathy? Going into this, I should have thought of something or other than just breaking the news to him. As it is, it seems the only thing we can do to feel sorry for each other's misfortunes. In another occasion, under different circumstances, I might have accepted that, but
And I don't know if I've told you yet, but the one in the news recently, the girl, she was the one you kept mentioning before, yes? The girl you frequently hang out with. They said she briefly worked for them as their real estate agent for the mansion. I've just heard about it. Although, for what it's worth, I'm sorry about what happened to your friend. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but if this is that man's doing,
Professor, please.
they come out more strained than usual, more than what I'm accustomed to when speaking to the older man. Maybe if things around me hadn't started going beyond my control, the letter, the mansion, the supposed curse behind those, I'd still be quick to blame it all on that bastard too. But as much as I want to keep holding him responsible for it, to add another to his list of sins,
Please don't finish that.
all this time I've prided myself over being the one to always know. But ghosts and curses, these are things completely out of my depth. Professor Clark's right in some way. Things would be so much easier if we just blamed Luke Wright for all of this. At least finding evidence would be a breeze, and I'd be all too happy to put him in a place he belongs. Although, if he was in any way also complicit to what happened to her, legalities have my hands tied. But maybe that's my fault. I might have missed the ticket to closing the case once and for all last night. If only I had done a better job during the party. But then, the commotion. There was Hannah Wright and Rebecca distracting me from my purpose too. I'd include Gatecrasher as well, even though it's only for a moment. So many things have gone wrong last night, but
This isn't a prank! I saw something! See? This is why I didn't want to tell you guys. It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first?
oh, it's sad. Poor
I saw
Isabella.
something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Last night at the party,
But it's real! What do you think I saw? It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
that woman,
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her.
shit. If that was what Isabella had been warning us about, if it was the same thing Rebecca talked about last night, how many of these instances have I dismissed since reading the letter? How many have I ignored and passed off as some effect of fatigue or lack of sleep? Even last night, a hallucinogen lacing the food is the first thing I considered, purely because that's what my training dictates. It's a mindset I've grown used to. It's the setting the gears in my head automatically takes in a situation like that. Of course, I'm not discounting all that yet until I have enough information, something to form a conclusion on. Proof in whatever for it may come. But thinking straight is impossible when all of a sudden all your beliefs are being upturned in the most violent way possible at that. Jesus, I needed a sounding board. I needed to talk to someone, and Zach's the best person for that.
I have to go.
already? Wait, Ashton, where are you?
I don't have time to stop and listen to what the professor has to say as I bolt up and run like a bat out of hell. Getting back to my car in record time, I don't waste a second to hit the road and drive to Zach's place. If any one of us knows anything about what's going on, who can help the sort of muddled mess my mind is, it's got to be him. He listened to Isabella. Zach's the kind who prefers to laze around his apartment on a weekend, especially after having a busy week like the last one. The big guy's nowhere in sight when I arrive, though. Figures. People don't seem to be where they should be when I need them. Looking around, I find no sign that he might have just gone to. He usually leaves a note on the fridge if he's out for the day, just in case someone drops by. As there isn't one, he probably just went out for a quick walk. I hope. Maybe he ran out of eggs or something and went out to buy some. He is out of eggs after all. It puts my running mind to rest for a while. He always has to have some, but be it for an omelet or something he's baking. All I can do is sigh as I close it behind me. I'm so worried for my friend, of course. The messy bed suggests that he was out in a hurry. He didn't even bother to fold the sheets. His cell phone's been left behind as well. Another odd thing when he has made it a habit to never leave it behind in case a client calls.
At least the locked door points to the fact that it wasn't a forced exit.
I can take comfort in that, but not so much. Anything might happen, and completely letting my guard down is out of the question. In hindsight, I shouldn't have left Rebecca alone either. I'll have to check on her later. In the meantime, Zach, but with no other clue where he is and no other way to contact him, I have no choice but to wait. Sure, I could give the room another thorough run through, but I don't think Zach would appreciate me upending his place. Besides, I haven't eaten anything yet. Might as well take the chance to cool down a bit, right? Anything to distract myself so I don't have to just charge my head, so that I don't just charge head first because of whatever paranoid scheme comes to mind. Returning to the kitchen, the first thing I see is a bag of chips while I rifle through his cupboards. After muttering a permission and an apology its owner won't hear, I grab it, set myself on the couch, and turn on the television. The screen lights up, right as some awful noontime drama starts airing on Channel 9. Nothing like sitting in front of the TV with a mindless drone running in the background to waste away the time. And waste it away, I do. The afternoon has hit its last few hours when movement comes from the other side of the door, and Zach's heavy treads break the monotonous drone from the TV. The lock clicks, the knob turns, and slowly it swings open to reveal a very exhausted-looking Zach. What? Did he just run a marathon?
Sup, Z-Man?
Light as my tone might be, his arrival eases the restless edges in me. Who knows what I would have done if something bad happened to another one of my friends. If another minute had gone by without him showing up, I might have resorted to unconventional methods.
Ash, how many times do I have to tell you not to call me Z-Man? And stop breaking into my apartment! Call the cops on you, but doing that feels like a joke in itself because you are one.
I didn't. You gave me a key the last time I did that, remember?
After the last one you broke, I can't keep replacing the knob just because you think it'd be amusing to lockpick the hell out of it. And hey, is that my...
It's scary how the friendly banter and easy smile comes naturally.
You ate all of it! I was saving that one for the weekend!
I'll replace it.
I do it, even without asking, and that speaks volumes about how comfortable I am around him. That's nice, isn't it? What makes me afraid of it, however, is the idea that a time might come where I might just do these without even meaning to and offend him in some way. The friendship we have might be closer than most I've shared with others, but there are boundaries you can't cross without the other's permission. Zach's been respectful of that so far, neither asking about my parents or what happened to them. Me? I bet he'd say, not so much. It's also this easy banter that makes me wish we could just stay like this. No worries, no problems, just potato chips and the debate on whether or not I deserve them. But as always, I have business. As soon as I see the chance, I take it and ask him about the odd things that have been happening lately, including that letter.
You saw me last night at the housewarming party, Ash. Pretty sure I'm doing fine.
I'm not asking about that. Remember the letter thing Isabella's been yapping on about? I'm asking about that kind of odd.
Well, the dreams, they're a lot worse than usual. There's a woman now, ever since we saw that letter. I don't know if it's the same one Isabella talked about. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. I really don't want to go back to sleep sometimes. Last night was the worst. Anyway, why are you asking about this?
As expected, as we go through all of this, Zach starts to look at me like I've grown a second head. Yeah, I would too, if there was ever a universe where I was standing in front of myself. Because even as a child, I never believed in ghost stories. The Lucky Charms and mystical objects from my mother have been stored away or given as paltry gifts to those who would appreciate them more. Granted, I haven't eliminated every single possibility here yet, but what else is there to go off on from? I try to stamp down on the annoyance that comes from that thought alone. The worried look Zach shoots my way doesn't help one bit in helping me gather my thoughts either, and that's what I came here for. Somehow, everyone's just so worried about me. It's not like I'm pulling this out of my ass. If even Rebecca claims there's something shady going on, I'm inclined to believe there must be a scrap of truth to it. And when I look at those, along with Isabella's warnings, what happened to her, what's occurring around Zach, what has taken place around Luxborn since Isabella found the letter,
Have you seen the news this morning?
His puzzled expression is enough answer. Of course he hasn't. Another night, another nightmare. The guy most likely went out as soon as he got out of bed to shake the images off. The memories have never really left him. So I show him, cycling through the channels until I find one doing a recap of this morning's reports. And there it is. The poor guy is unidentifiable with how badly his body has been burnt. Who is that guy? Murder via arson? That'd be the logical explanation if the other officer was looking into it. If I was the officer looking into it. Except they couldn't find the source of the fire. The fire didn't even spread.
Found dead in the early hours of the morning today. The fire was contained within the room and no other tenants were harmed, according to Luxborn police.
They're going to consider spontaneous human combustion soon enough if they don't find anything else. But what's important for everyone to note is the state of the room.
A similar writing was found in another victim's room from last week's incident. Both were employees of Briar Realty Corporation. LBN has reached out to the...
Like what happened to Cooper and Isabella. Hell, I wonder how many other deaths like this that I've missed while I've been looking into Wright. The LPD is already thinking it's a serial killer at this point. How long until they consult with the London Metropolitan? I'm not sure. The Ansem Butcher has always been an enigma even to the people within this city. Gone for a few years, and then in the next, one body after another is found. Merely handling the case has apparently driven the chief inspector insane years ago. He never did find out who committed those murders. Maybe now, this time.
You think this is...
I don't know what to think, Zach.
In the next second, I'm up on my feet and pacing the span of the small room without thinking about it. My body just needs to be busy, moving about, burning out rather than burning my brain out. Sometimes I do both, but moving helps. Keeps the brain running. Healthy body, healthy mind. Or was it the other way around? Fuck, I can't even think coherently right now. I just know there's something. There must be. There has to be.
I should have looked into this when she was still here. Maybe none of this would have happened if I did.
The words slip out of my mouth before I can censor them. The guilt and sorrow, feelings I won't let others even catch a glimpse of under the normal circumstances, all laid bare in this one moment of weakness. Zach will say otherwise. He's always been the optimist, the one who sees the best in people. But such sentiments or any words of comfort won't change the truth. That a single instance of neglect and indifference has cost me someone really dear to me. Again. We've all been given our warning that day in that desperate, pleading tone of hers, and I'm the first one who brushed it off. Still, like the usual, Zach tries, a benefit of the doubt I'm not worthy of.
Rebecca and I are still here. We'll manage one way or another.
Don't make it sound so easy. We have no idea what we're dealing with here.
This is a whole fucking mess, and we're in it blind. The only way to make it worse is if we start running around like a bunch of headless chickens. But I have a concrete plan now, I think. Aside from those writings, there's another thing linking most, if not all, of those victims. The latter, I'm still have to look deeper into, of course. However, the little detail has been bothering me since Inspector Abigail pointed it out during briefing. Even the news has picked up on it. Most of the victims are employees of the same company before their untimely deaths. Briar Realty Corporation. However, my suspicions are mine for the moment. The details are something Zach doesn't need to know until I have something to show. It's enough that he's aware that I have an idea in mind. For his part, Z-Man doesn't push it, and nothing but a heavy silence leads my departure hours later. Seriously, Zachary would probably make a more respectable officer than me, if only he had the heart to join the force. We could certainly use more kind people like him. But as good as that thought is, I push all of it into the back of my mind as I head for my car. Tonight, I can't stay distracted. Alright, we are going to end the episode off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, or don't. I don't give a shit. And I'll see you all in the next one. And goodbye, everyone.